Hello! This is going to be a mini Poe-Cast. It's been around about 2 months since the Star Wars EU announcement. And it's been 2 months, and unfortunately I haven't gotten a chance to talk about this post by author Timothy Zahn on his Facebook page. But it was just so classy and exactly what I was trying to say that I just wanted to read it. Tim Zahn posted this on his Facebook page on April 28th, and it reads, "Having now had a few days to process the news from LFL, a few thoughts. First, since many of you are wondering, I have not yet been asked to write any new Star Wars books. But that doesn't mean I won't receive such an invitation in the future. If that happens, whether or not I accept will depend on what kind of story I'm asked to write, what input I'd have on the content, what era the story will be set in, etc. I would certainly like to return to the GFFA, Galaxy Far, Far Away, but at the moment, that's not my decision to make. Second, as far as I can tell from the announcement, LFL is not erasing the EU, but simply making it clear that nothing there is official canon. That's not necessarily a bad thing, nor does it immediately send everything into alternate universe status. If nothing from the Thrawn trilogy, say, is used in future movies, and if there's nothing in the movies that contradicts it, then we can reasonably continue to assume that those events did happen. It looks to me like the Legends banner is going to be used mainly to distinguish story group approved canon books from those that aren't officially canon but might still exist. Third, even if something from the Thrawn trilogy does show up in a movie in a different form, we authors are masters of spackle, backfill, and hand-waving. For example, if Gent appears in the movies but never mentions Thrawn, I can argue that he simply doesn't want to talk about that era, or else has completely forgotten about it. Which, for Gent, isn't really much of a stretch. Finally, there's nothing inherently demeaning in the term legends. Think back a little farther, to Disney's 1950s Davy Crockett TV series, a show I grew up with, which presented stories and legends about the king of the wild frontier. Historians have Crockett's genuine history, but there's nothing that says those TV adventures didn't happen, right? So, until and unless the legend puts Davy in Tennessee at the same time the real history puts him in Virginia, we can still believe those adventures happened. That's how I expect it to be with the real Star Wars history versus the legendary adventures of the EU. Bottom line, let's all sit back and relax and see what new adventures are offered to us, both in new books and new movies. It'll be Star Wars, and that's what counts. I am really, really, really thrilled that Tim Zahn who's arguably the father of the modern Star Wars Expanded Universe, put out such a classy statement of basically saying to the fans, you can still enjoy both, which is what I've been trying to say. I've made it a point not to read comments by any Star Wars fan, because, I mean, a couple of them that I glanced at below Tim Zahn's beautifully classy statement, unfortunately were bashing Disney and very up in arms against the whole Star Wars EU being basically dubbed as non-canon. There's this real obsession with stuff being canon or non-canon, when really that's an extremely modern idea. And does it really matter? Like Tim Zahn says, the fact that, Davy Crockett's legendary adventures might not be true doesn't mean that they don't mean something. So, Jonathan's here, and he's going to offer a few thoughts.
Well, first of all, I would like to say the theme song from the Davy Crockett TV series is a very fun song, and some of my young cousins really enjoy that song. Okay, and after that, I'm going to say I think that a very important part of fandom is personalizing whatever it is that you like to yourself. Like, with Star Wars, I like to imagine the Thrawn trilogy as part of Star Wars and just work the timeline in my head to fit around that. Or in other things I like, maybe there is something that someone else did, or maybe just something that I made up that I might fit into the timeline because I like it there. And I just think that that is a very important part of fandoms, and that is what really makes a strong fan base, is fans making a work of art their own.
Yes, but the thing about that is that what you love about a certain franchise might not necessarily be the same thing that somebody else loves about
Yes,
it.
definitely.
And whether or not it's official canon for both of you, the fact that you say, well, I love the Thrawn trilogy, and the other person says, well, I didn't quite enjoy it, I like something else, like, say, the Yuzhan Vong, the New Jedi Order, and I say, well, I really can't stand those, I've never read them. For me, the New Jedi Order never was canon. For somebody else, it was. For them, it was very important. For me, I didn't like it. It did not negate the fact that we both loved the stuff that we loved equally. The fact that whether or not something was official canon doesn't actually really matter. It's about personal enjoyment. So
yes,
you
definitely.
personalize it, you enjoy what you enjoy, you pour your love into it, but it doesn't negate your love of the material if, say, the timeline says, oh, well, that portion didn't happen in our timeline as the company that we're going to be following. It doesn't negate the fact that, for you, it happened.
Yes, I completely agree. That is really what I was trying to say.
Yeah. So, like, to echo Timothy Zahn, bottom line, let's all sit back and relax and enjoy the new content coming. It doesn't negate the old content, whether they exist in the same universe, whether your universe is the same as mine, actually doesn't matter. Let's just enjoy and love the material that we love and just have fun. Because if you're not having fun and not being enthusiastic and you're being negative, I think that it hurts your enjoyment of the material. And I'm kind of running out of things to say, but it's really important to me. So yeah.
Okay, I just thought of a story that I want to tell. When I went to Kawakan several months ago in February, I went into a Harry Potter panel in which the person who was supposed to be running the panel never showed up. So, everyone who was in the panel just kind of took over, and we talked a little bit about Harry Potter and had like a trivia thing, but one person who kind of initiated the actual starting of our sort of democratic panel asked everyone what part of Harry Potter they liked best, whether it was the movies, the books, or even the fan fiction. And I think that fan fiction is a very important part of fandoms because that really personalizes the universe for whoever is writing the fan fiction. Maybe not for anyone else except for that person, but still that is meaningful to the person who enjoys it.
Right, exactly. And I think for the author of these particular fan fictions, like something, say, that was set after the end of Deathly Hallows or before the beginning of Philosopher's Stone, for them it probably is canon of who ends up with who. And maybe actually what, J.K. Rowling has said in interviews doesn't actually matter to them, because for them they've already personalized it and decided, well, this should happen. And there's a difference between authors stating something in an interview or, actually writing another piece of fiction. So anyway, we've basically talked ourselves out. So I'm going to wrap up. Like I said, let's sit back and just enjoy being fans.